Hey guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And last week we talked about money lies. So this week we're going to talk about money truths. So let's get to it. Okay, so 10 money truths that actually work. All right, let's get to that. All right, so once you stop believing all the lies about money, then you're going to be able to do the next step, which is learning and, figuring out what actually works for you. All right, so the first truth is that progress beats perfection. And this is absolutely true. You do not have to be perfect to be good with money or to get out of debt. You just have to be making progress of some sort. You have to keep your foot on the path, keep going forward, and you have to never quit. You have to continue to work at it and keep on going and going and going and going and going. Okay. So progress beats perfection. We don't want any perfection here. It's not necessary. And perfection is not possible also. All right, we're human beings. We make mistakes. It's all good. Number 2 is awareness changes everything. So you have to be aware of what is going on with your finances. If you are not aware, that is what is going to suck you down into debt and it's going to crush your soul and all that business. Okay, so you want to be aware of where you're spending your money. Where's your money going? And also, what subscriptions do you have? Make sure you don't have any subscriptions that you don't need anymore. We just canceled the tennis channel because we are out of tennis season, really. So if you have any subscriptions that you can cancel, then do it. Make sure you're aware of where your money's going and how you're spending. You're aware of how you're saving, what kind of direct deposit, or where your money's going with direct deposit, which bank accounts, how much, all that business. Okay. So if we're aware, then we can be in charge of our money and tell it who's boss and tell it what to do. But if we don't know, it's just going to do its own thing. The next is that your budget should reflect your real life. If you need to budget money for makeup, then my God, do it, right? It's okay. It's your life. So whatever you want to budget for, put it in your budget, right? As long as you're aware of it, you have the money to do it and you're willing to sacrifice other areas. Like maybe you're like, I don't care about eating out. I'm just going to cook at home and become a super chef at home because I need this money for my makeup, then go ahead and do that. It's fine. It's your budget. It has to reflect your life. If you don't care about makeup and you don't ever want to get your hair cut, like me, I haven't had my hair cut, I think, in over a year. I do it myself. I just snip the ends with scissors. It's just not important to me. I just don't do it. I probably should, but we spend money elsewhere, like on tennis lessons for our kids. That's important to me versus me getting my hair done and I don't wear makeup. That's a huge savings. All right, so it has to be what is important to you and your budget. That's the truth. Your budget reflects your life. It's totally personal. Next is that debt freedom is built in the boring moments. It is. That's just the way it goes. All right. So it's not super sexy. It's boring to get out of debt, meaning that you have to just be consistent. You just have to have your budget set and you have your money set to go pay off your debt and you just stick with it and you stick with it for years or months or however long it takes you to pay off your debt. But getting out of debt it's totally boring. That's just all it is that you just need to figure out, how much extra money you're going to make on the side hustles or whatever you're doing, however you're bringing in extra income or just lowering expenses, and then stick with it for the designated time period that it takes for you to put extra on your debt and get it paid off. The next truth is that you don't need more income to get out of debt. You don't. You can create the money by lowering your expenses or canceling subscriptions in other areas. You don't have to earn more money to get out of debt. It's not necessary. Okay, you can still do it. And maybe you're just going to eat out less. You're not going to go to the movie theater for a short period of time. And maybe 2 years sounds like not a short period of time, but it really is in the grand scheme of your life. That is not that much time. I mean, if you look back, think about 5 years ago and those 2 years from, what were you doing? Do you care? Do you even remember the names of the people you were hanging with at that time? Probably not. So that time went fast, right? You're like, oh, that was years ago. And that time period did go pretty quick. it will go by. And so you can do it. You don't have to make more money. You just have to lower expenses for a short period of time and figure out a way to do it. Because again, the goal is that you are taking action. It's not about your income. It's that you're taking action towards it, and you're thinking about it, and you're making it a goal. That's it. Okay, the next truth is that your emergency fund, it reduces stress instantly. This is so true. Okay, come on. Like, if you have an emergency fund, I mean, aren't you just like, yes, I have an emergency, I have money set aside. It feels so great. And so I highly recommend it. Even if you only can start with $100 or $500, like, you have to have some money set aside, because it just helps. It just helps. It makes your peace of mind. You just feel better walking around life knowing that you have money sitting there in case you need it. Okay. So if you do nothing else this next year, I highly suggest getting your emergency fund in gear. The next truth is saying no is a financial skill. And it is. And I think we should all practice saying no more in our lives. Like, I mean, it's freeing to go into a store and walk around and walk out with nothing. You said no to all that stuff. And every no protects a future yes, so that you will be able to say yes in the future to something else that you want even more and feels even better because you waited for it and saved for it. So remember that every time you say no, it's for that future yes, so you can say yes eventually. Now, another truth is that motivation fades and systems don't. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Motivation is such a fickle thing. It comes and goes, and it's not. I certainly don't feel motivated every month. I don't feel motivated, and I'm sure you don't either. And it's really tough to stay motivated, which is why we do things like watch people talking on YouTube about money. I do it too. And, however else you get motivation, whether, you have a support group of friends and family, but it's going to fade. But your system that you have set up with your automatic payments or direct deposit, going into your savings account to save for your emergency fund, your systems will not fail. Also, if you are investing and you have it set up to directly invest in, purchase stock every week, if that's set up, automated, then that's not going to stop. But if you are manually doing stuff, eventually your motivation fades and you're just like, it wasn't feeling it this week. I just wanted to, do nothing and lay around. So I didn't go in and I didn't make that extra debt payment this month. All right, it's going to fail you. So make sure you have your systems in place. Get them set up so that way you'll be able to continue to make progress. All right, comparison is going to cost you more than interest. All right. It's dangerous, this comparison thing, super dangerous. And I always end up finding that I want to spend money if, say, I am watching a YouTube video about somebody who's shopping or decorating their home. I love the Homeworthy channel where they show people's houses and they do tours. But it's a problem. I have to be careful with it. Be very careful, because if I'm watching this Homeworthy show of people showing their Christmas decorations and they've got like this whole collection of these vintage whatevers, Santas, and I'm like, man, I love those vintage Santas. I want those vintage Santas. It sparks something like, I want to go buy vintage Santas, and I don't need vintage Santas. I don't need those in my life. But if I'm watching something and I'm kind of it's not even like you purposely are trying to compare, but it's like you are anytime you're looking at social media or watching certain YouTube channels. So if you're trying to get a debt, or you're in a crazy time period of your life where you need to be saving and not spending, be very careful about comparing or watching people who are doing things that you are not interested in doing right now. Even gardening channels makes me want to go out and buy plants. Okay, so let's be very careful who you're spending time with, or what kind of entertainment you are ingesting during that time period. I like to read books sometimes about people who are struggling and having trouble and living on nothing, because it just helps me to stay in a better mindset, so to speak, if I'm going through a certain time period where we're trying to save money. Debt-free living is a skill that you can learn. It's It's not the norm to be debt-free living. And so, but it is something that you can do and you can learn how to do it. And there are others out there, and it's possible. And when you're doing it, it's like I always talk about how it feels like this little secret that I have, and I feel good about myself. And hopefully you do too once you get there. If you're not there already, it's something that you feel like in your heart that you've got this little special secret and it makes you feel good. And like, I wouldn't suggest going around telling everybody that you are debt-free living because it doesn't usually work out, but you know it, and those close to you and maybe your children know it, and you just feel proud of yourself. But you can do it. You can learn how to live that way. And debt-free people aren't lucky people. They're practiced people who have, sacrificed and learned control, and they focus on awareness. And you can do it too. Everybody can do it. It's possible for all. Now, money gets a lot simpler when we stop chasing shortcuts and trying to play games, and it's something that doesn't have to be the whole focus of your life, but it certainly makes your life better when you have control over it and when you can live debt-free. All right, so what are some truths that you guys know about money? I would love to hear them down below in the comments. If you haven't yet seen my video talking about the 10 lies about money, you can go ahead and watch it here, and otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay.